Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for the Q&A for Pant Hoot. We are very excited to have Richard Reens here with us today. He is the director and co-producer of Pant Hoot. So we're really excited to just kind of dive in with him on a couple of on his inspiration for the movie and some of the behind the scenes and all of that. So we're very, very excited. I did want to just remind everyone to make sure to rate the movies as soon as you're done watching. It's going to help us determine our audience award at the end of the week, excuse me. So before we get started with Richard, I did just want to start off by thanking our sponsors. So the sponsor for this film is Nita Kenyon. So thank you so much, Nita. And then I also just wanted to thank our major sponsors. We have BHE Renewables, Coast 104.5, Feel Good Favorites, American General Media, and KSBY TV. So thank you all so much for sponsoring this festival. We wouldn't be able to do it without you, so thank you. So I'm so excited to dive in with Richard. I wanted to start off by just kind of asking, what was your inspiration for making this movie? Like, how did you find this sanctuary and find Stanny and find Jane Goodall? Like, take us back to the beginning. How did this come to be, and how did this specific sanctuary come to be?
Well, for me, hold on a second. Yeah, well, you froze for a second. Sorry. Well, for me, I was approached to do this by our executive producers, Barbara and Lewis Hallweg, who have, if you've watched the film, you know that they've known Stanley for, a decade and a half, and they just thought he was so fascinating and so interesting. What he did was so unusual with his being able to communicate with chimpanzees, understanding their complex communications, which is vocalizations as well as body language and facial expressions and stuff like that. A lot like us, only not as much on the words. But the so they were telling me about this, and I just said, really, this guy talks to chimps, and they're only, all right, this I got to see. So the way we ended up at Chimpeden at that sanctuary is that's where Stanley works right now. And he wasn't, when they first talked to me about it, we weren't sure where he's going to be, because he was between sanctuaries, and then he's always with JGI at some kind of thing. But I mean, depending on, he lives in Uganda, and so obviously that's a different country than South Africa, so he would have to get working permits, and it's very difficult in that continent to get where, actually even here, for Canadians to work in America and vice versa. It's a big deal. So anyway, that's how we ended up there. And of course, you cannot do a movie about chimpanzees or somebody talk to them without Jane Goodall, because she's the authority on it and has been since the 60s. So anyway, we were really fortunate that she was interested in being in the film and doing an interview with us.
That's so cool. I just want to touch on one thing, because you did talk about the Pant Hoot, and I'm curious because we didn't really see in the film Stanny using the Pant Hoot to the chimps. So I'm wondering if the Pant Hoot is just kind of something that he adopted and started to understand that that's how chimps communicated, or if it's actually something that he uses with the chimps to communicate with them and for them to understand him better.
Well, actually, he does do it in the film. You can see. Well, he was demonstrating for
Yeah.
the camera certain things, but also when there was one scene where Marco, one of the chimps, was relaxing out back, and Marco can do flips and tricks and stuff like that, and Stanley had did a Pant Hoot to ask him to do that, and that involved body language that was off. Stanley was off camera then. I mean, you can only be on either the chimps or on Stanley, because we're separated by fences for safety and for health reasons of the chimps. We were all wearing, and this is before the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic, we were all wearing masks anyway around the chimps, because they can catch, because they have such similar DNA to ours, they can catch what we have, and they may not have been inoculated for. I mean, they've been inoculated for a lot of stuff when they're in a sanctuary, but in real life, this could, devastate the animal. So, um, we were all, so the separation also, and chimps aren't like gorillas or any other apes. They're more like us, so they're incredibly violent, which is a weird thing to say about us, but they are more like us in the bad ways as well as the, you know, the good ways that they're not like us. But I mean, there's, you know, yeah, they can be aggressive. So we were very careful to keep distance. They have double fences. They're electrified and stuff. And my camera got shocked a few times. So I was sticking to things, and Standing was always there to pull me back because, you know, they have long arms. But I mean, I never felt like I was in danger with them, and I think they were just curious about what we were doing. Like, who are you with that camera and stuff? Oh, another guy with a camera or whatever. But it was anyway.
Cool. I wanted to, because I was reading in your director's statement that you talked a lot about kind of some stylistic elements that you did with the movie, and how like you didn't want to show the sky in a lot of the shots that had the chimps in it, to kind of make it feel more claustrophobic and stuff. Can you just kind of talk about some of those stylistic elements that you implemented?
Well, I mean, it's one of the things is and this is my personal feeling about any kind of captivity, even though if it's for them, and chimp eating is beautiful and they have big open spaces, but they still are in captivity because of human beings catching them, and, you know, for the for the pet trade or for the bush meat trade or whatever. And to me, this was a film technique I learned from uh, 12 Angry Men, which was a Sidney Lumet film.
Mhm.
And he was always, never until the very end did you see the sky or the ceiling when you were in the little jury room, and it made you feel more and more claustrophobic. So, my God, this is really what this needs for the chimps too. And it was, and Stanny's story is so epic, going through war. And I mean, it just seems like, you know, it just seemed like the right thing to do. Well, I don't know whether it worked, but I liked it. So
That's amazing. Um, Going back to Stanny and the war and stuff, I feel like such a big part of the movie was kind of um, incorporating the likeness of humans and chimps, and how like Stanny going through the war, the chimps really helped him get through that, and then Stanny obviously helps the chimps just with life and everything. So could you maybe just talk on like how you wanted to, like, what were your goals, I guess, with making the movie and making kind of those comparisons and everything?
So it's a document. Good question. It was a documentary. So normally, if I had had a scripted thing, you would have planned things out. This is my first documentary, but so I'm learning about all this that happened from Stanley as we're shooting, because you don't want to waste all that
Right.
just talking to him without getting it on camera. So everything was learning, and then finding research to researching, which my editor Adam did a fantastic job of putting together, like, war footage and stuff. And that was at a time where we didn't, when that war in 95 took place, we didn't have high definition video, and most news people weren't shooting film back then. You know, it was like in between eras of, you know, higher production value, and then that was, you know, and again high production value now, and, you know, in between, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s was all video, which was, you know,
Yeah.
technically ugly, but so is war, so that was fine for that. But you know, we're just learning as we go, so you'd make notes and figure out what you wanted to talk about the next day, or how that would happen. But, you know, it's just, you know, your interview process, and, you know, listening more than anything else is what gives you the feeling, I think.
Cool. That's awesome. Um, One of my favorite parts of the movie was when Jane was talking about um, extinction, and how whenever you lose any sort of species, you lose that sound from the song of the universe, or the song of the world, or whatever. She said it much more beautifully than that. But so I don't know. I feel, and also adding on to that, just how to fix the root of a problem, like to fix extinction, you have to go outside of that, and you have to fix the forest, and then you have to go outside of that to fix the community. And I feel like that's just such a good parallel with, you know, the world and just a lot of the stuff that's going on right now in society and everything. Like we have, in order to fix the root of the problem, we have to fix everything. So I'm wondering if that was kind of what you were going with, or yeah, if or if it just kind of, if that was my take on it, or
Well, no, it's that part of the interview. We actually did we have bonus scenes that's free for the whole world to watch. And if you just go to panthootfilm.com, you can click on, there's one where that's extended. And our composer, Adele, did a fantastic job of doing a musical representation of what Jane was talking about, which was the sound of extinction. And it's with everything. And it's great that you said that, because you know, with the environment, it's not just, you know, it's like the like what we're all going through, you know, and on a personal level, we all can relate to what COVID-19 has done for, you know, not just festivals, but for our way of life. Well, that's everything. And that was original, you know, if you go back and back and back and find out what the big cause of that was, it's probably environmental. Um, and and it's humans not, you know, not thinking big picture, but thinking smaller picture. And it's you know, without going into why that started, I mean, it's just so with the with people needing more trees and more space for buildings, and more paper, even though we don't really need it because we're all on digital screens, but then the minerals that we need to make our cell phones work and whatnot is also taking its toll on the environment. And it also takes its toll on the communities in the environment. And so they're forced to then go, well, God, where are we going to get food from? Let's go hunting. And wild animals are, you know, abundant in Africa. Unfortunately, not apes as much, but they are meat for them. And that's, you know, and the trees and the pine. So it's like, we all need it is the big picture, small picture, macro, micro thing. Exactly. And so hopefully everybody else took that. I'm glad you took that away from the film, but I hope everybody else does too.
well, if they didn't, then they can watch this and know that they were supposed to.
Watch it again.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have any kind of wrap up thoughts of just what you wanted to share, or anything specific? Or if there's, I know you said your website, panthoot.com, where you can get kind of more.
Panthootfilm.com. Yeah.
Film.com, where you can get kind of some more sources and stuff, but any other places that people can go to just kind of learn more about this, or any final comments?
Jane Goodall Institute, especially Jane Goodall Institute South Africa, who hosted us while we filmed on their at their facility. They need help, and their website is a great resource for information. And we're hoping that, you know, Stanley's contract is going to be up there in April, I think, or May, and we're hoping that the South African government will allow him to continue there. If not, we'll have to follow him. But I mean, we all need to be better people in general on the planet. Help each other, help our fellow inhabitants, and, as you know, the apes, the birds, everything. And it's, you know, so let's not waste things, let's not kill things, let's be cool.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this Q&A and just kind of taking the time to dive in a little bit deeper with it. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Grace. We're really excited and proud to be in your festival, and hopefully we can all get together in person and
Right.